Here we go. All right. Yay. Here we are. We are live.
All right. Looks like we're going live. I need to figure out how to copy.
As usual, if you watched any of our previous lives, that's a tradition, right? I have to close down all of my Facebook groups so that we can go live in our Facebook group. So welcome, everybody. If you're just joining in, it's Lindsay, Elena, and Celia. And Lindsay was looking frozen there in her smiling position. We are together for the How to Make Some Money During the Holidays open house with the Simply Sacred Company. Whoop, whoop. Elena, I am not checking in on the group right now, so maybe you can just check in and make sure that we are live. Okay, we are live. We are live. So I'm Celia, and I got Lindsay and Elena. We are here for the next hour or so with you because we got really excited thinking about what do we want to do right here, right now, around the holidays with you. And as usual, we're always talking about what's going on in your business and what's going on in your business and what are your people saying and what are your clients dealing with. And we try to take the best of what we're dealing with in our own individual businesses and put that together and create something meaningful and valuable for our Simply Sacred community. And so what is clearly up and alive and wanting to be talked about and wanting to be present is certainly a woman's worth, which Lindsay's going to dive deeper in for us today. But really this piece around, our self-worth, our making money worth and ability, and just overall people feeling it's a little bit tight right now with the money. And so whether you are a sister working a 9-to-5 or managing your household, so a sacred CEO in charge of your household, or you're an entrepreneur, or a businesswoman, or a corporate woman, or someone in education or nonprofit, we know that we need for our ladies to have the tools to make more money, to be able to increase in their financial empowerment and education. And we're just so excited about all the ways that we're seeing that come up. And we want to have the conversation here. We want to keep it real. So as you're joining in, please say hello. Let us know you can hear us. You can see us. Let us know if you're like, amen, sister, let's talk about some money. Or if you're like, money is so great right now. It's just overflowing and it's so abundant. Or if you're like, holy crap, money is tight and I need some. So give me a clue. Give me a hint. Help me. Let us know, because we're hearing everything on the spectrum. We have plenty of clients who are doing super well and are hitting, financial goals they've never dreamed of. And then we have lots of people who are, living sort of hand to mouth and struggling. And then we have people who are all the way in between, who are trying to figure out what's next for them. What are the best strategies? What are the best tips, tools, resources they can take to not only make money, but part of what we're going to talk about, obviously, is the mindset behind the making money. And what does it take to really get ourselves aligned to make money now during the holidays and beyond into the next year. So that's our spiel. So with that, I will hand off to my sisters. Elena, you want to say hey? And I know Lindsay's going to bring our minds together and sort of tell us what we're doing here today.
Yeah, I'll just say a quick hello. I'm seeing lots of amazing comments. People are excited to talk about money, which makes me so happy. We talk about this all the time, and Lindsay's going to get into why money and self-worth, and making money, spending money is all like interwoven and connected. And so in our work, working with women during live retreats, during our coaching programs, we see this, like, how do we make money and feel worthy of the money? How do you make that leap? And it's like this catch-22. Unless you feel worthy of it, it's going to be very difficult to allow it to flow. We've all done the work. We continue to do the work at all new levels. And we're going to really dive in today. So I'm excited to see yes, let's talk money, because it's opportunity, it's expansion, it's abundance. It allows us to do the work that we're here to do and make a difference. So we get excited about money. So I'm so excited to see that you are too. Make sure you're sharing it. Invite friends, even if they're not registered for the actual event, they can catch this and get benefit from hearing this conversation. So all you need to do is click share with all your friends. They'll come share the conversation. The more women are talking about self-worth and money and making a difference, the more we're going to start spreading the message. So press share, let us know what you're thinking. If something we say resonates, put it in the comments so we get to know what you're feeling, what you're thinking. We talk about this all the time. We can hear each other talk all the time. We want to know what you think. So I will hand it off to Lindsay to do
Yay.
magic that she does.
Yay. So we're going to do something called bringing our minds together. Some of you will be familiar with, and some it may be a new idea, but essentially what it does is it puts us in a position where we can get the very most out of our time together. We can be fully present. We can be open to receive. We can be open to shifts in magic that maybe we weren't even aware were on the horizon for us today. And sometimes we do that through a guided meditation, and sometimes we do that through sharing our story of the day. But today, why don't we do that with a gratitude? And Celia, why don't we start with you? What's something that you're like fully present to actually feeling gratitude in your body about?
I'm grateful for the technology that brings us all together and the magic that makes. I'm seeing the sisters who are joining in on the call live right now, and just really in awe of the way that like I'm seeing their names and their faces, and I'm like, oh, I love her, and Amanda's on the call, and or I'm probably not even pronouncing her name right because I never met her in person, but I only see her online. But and our girls Selena and Marie and Allison, and I love them so much, and I only know them from online, and so just so grateful for the technology that brings us all together.
Me too. Do you feel grateful for that, Elena?
Oh, that and so much more. I'm feeling very like micro focused on the tiniest of gratitudes right now, from my body, for the sun, for this connection, for this conversation. So it's like I just keep coming back to this present moment. And
present moment. Did she freeze? Did I freeze?
Oh,
I can hear. Yep.
Okay, hopefully, if you guys, seems like you guys are hearing us. So let us know if we're frozen. Let us know. But yeah, I'm so just in a bubble of gratitude right now for all of it.
I echo both of those.
I want to hear what the ladies are grateful for too. So I know Lindsay's going to take us away on this gratitude journey, which is her specialty. But for those who are joining in, let us know, what are you feeling grateful for? What are you excited about right now? What are you feeling in your body? And also, just if already things are alive for you around the money stuff, just go ahead and start going, because we're just going to literally hang out on this thread. We're changing it up. We're trying some new things, and we just want to hang out with you on this video and answer questions live with you. And we're not going to hop around. We're not going to do different threads. This is it. So if you want to talk about anything, just put it in there, and when we can, we'll get to it. If not live now, later. So with that, how about you, Lindsay? What's coming up for you?
Well, I'm feeling very grateful for everything that you said, for everyone who's here in Circle. I'm feeling acutely aware of our privilege for getting to be in connection in this way. For many, 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 many decades and centuries, women have been disconnected from their safe circles of women. And to just be in a circle of women is a tremendous honor and privilege. And to do that over a computer or an iPhone or in your own time, if you're not joining us live, but watching this later, like what an amazing time that we live in. And I'm feeling really grateful for that. So yes, I hope that you will join us in the oneness of heart and mind by putting your gratitude into the comments as well. And maybe with a little like on anybody else's gratitude, join in the collective weaving of those gratitudes together. When we bring our gratitudes forward to be witnessed, and then we give a little love tap via a like or a little namaste, I like to think of it as, we begin to create a web or a blanket of gratitude that holds us in a sacred container. So with every comment, we build that gratitude web stronger and stronger. And the beautiful thing about gratitude is not only does it bring us into that oneness of heart and mind, it brings us into our bodies. It brings us into the here and now. And that is the only place from which we can manifest. That's the only place from which we can truly create, is right here. We can think about the stuff that we created before, and we can project the stuff that we want to create down the line. But right here, right now is where we can actually claim the shift and claim the magic. So we want to really say that we're grateful that you're joining us here today. And we're
so grateful. Lindsay is so excited.
Yeah, I am. Thrilled actually that we can have the conversation about money, because for a long time, you would think that money and spirituality, the holidays, the seasons, they kind of don't go together, right? This is a time when we just want to focus on only family or only our connection to spirit. And I think that we are showing our privilege also, that we can begin to step forward as co-creators of our life, our finances, our safety, our worth, our well-being, from not just our health, wellness, family spokes of our wheel, but also from our money well-being. And there might be a little part of us, I think it comes up for everyone in some ways, that would say that somehow spirituality and money are mutually exclusive. But simply by you being here on this call and being willing to talk about, all right, it's okay to have this conversation of money right now, this time of the year, it opens us up to the possibility of magic and potential of what that could actually look like in a way that's aligned and authentic for you. One of the things that we were really aware of as we were bringing this beautiful event together for you is that money correlates to what we teach in the Woman's Wheel on the spoke of worth and self-worth. And Celia kind of planted that seed when she brought us together into this call. But worth is the east spoke on that wheel. So if you're looking at the Woman's Wheel and these inalienable rights of women and thinking about the things that every woman needs to live a healthy, thriving, abundant, connected life, the spokes you're going to find on that wheel are things like safety and love and belonging and purpose. But that E spoke, that one at kind of the 3 o'clock point on the wheel, that's about our worth, because every woman has the right and the need to feel her own self-worth and her worthiness in this life. And we're kind of raised and conditioned with a belief system that our worth is something that we acquire over time because of what we do, right? I'm worthy because I did these good things, or I'm worthy because someone said I did a good job, or I'm worthy because I got A's, or I'm worthy because I got this job. What's so important to remember about the Woman's Wheel is that these are the inalienable rights of women. These are true and valid and necessary simply by virtue of your birthright. For coming in as a human being, you have the right to worthiness. And so this isn't about what you've done or achieved. This is about being. It's about being your unique, aligned, authentic self. And the money piece ties into worth because, of course, there's a dual meaning. Our worth also has to do with how we show up in the world, how abundant we feel, how able we are to be self-sufficient, to pay our bills, to pay our payroll, to have the lights on if we're talking about the most basic needs, but also to plan for our pooling and our security and our safety long term. So worth is up at the holidays. And if we don't talk about it, if we don't talk about money, we're actually kind of ignoring the elephant in the room. Money can be more up for people than any other time of the year during the holidays. I think second to love and loneliness, money challenges show up for people more than ever in the dark months of the year. This shows up in ways of, how can I be a part of the holiday giving in the way that I want to? How can I balance my personal, family, individual needs with work? Do I take time off or do I not? Do I even have the luxury of time off? What does that look like? So money is up, right? And so the worthiness piece wanted to be presenced in this way. And it also was begging us to bring forward a story from our recent Sacred CEO retreat in Tulum, where we had the blessing, honor, privilege of walking through and working the wheel with all the women participants there. And these women are across the spectrum in their journey in terms of where they are, either in just beginning to imagine growing their role in the world as a sacred CEO. And by sacred CEO, we don't just mean business owner, entrepreneur. We mean being the leader and the light in your own life and livelihood and business and family. This idea of you claiming the leadership in your own life. So women were all over the spectrum of the ways in which they're claiming their role as sacred CEO. Some in 9-to-5s, maybe thinking about growing their position in the company. Some thinking about how they could begin to build their side hustle and move towards more meaning and purpose in their life. Some who have started businesses but are really ready to see growth and see expansion and spaciousness financially. Some who are further along and going, how do I feel about navigating and holding the container as this thing grows? Does it still feel aligned to me? Is it the way I want to walk it? How does it feel to have a team? So truly, women across the spectrum. And as we sat down with the Women's Wheel and worked those wheels and then pulsed into the room of where they felt they had the most work to do, it was almost universally on the worth spoke. Almost I think we had at least 80% of the room where that was in the to be 100% where it was in the top 3. I want to say a little bit more about that, but I was just wondering if Celia Elena, you wanted to pulse into your memory of that moment when there was that kind of collective awareness that worthiness is in the top 3 of issues that women are dealing with, regardless of where they are in their financial journey.
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of groundbreaking because we created the Simply Sacred Women's Wheel that we just showed in the screen share. So if you saw that, hopefully that serves you. And coming forth, we will have the ability to get your own downloaded version of that. And we do also have a really beautiful travel altar, which is a physical product that is the Women's Wheel that's part of a daily ritual that you can practice. So that all of that is coming available soon for you as well. But we allowed our ladies we gifted them the travel altar Women's Wheel on the retreat, and everybody was working the wheel and then sharing what was coming up for them. And for myself, it wasn't the worth section. And so it wasn't in my, immediate awareness that
right.
was really going to be the thing. But I can't remember. I know at least one of you, if not both of you, had worth as one of your core focuses. And then it was like, worth, and then like one person was like purpose, and then worth and purpose and worth, and we're like, holy crap. So our finger was on the pulse of wanting to have one of the core pillars of what we do with the Simply Sacred work be about the sacred CO and helping women, make a difference. And we had that knowledge from the beginning. And for those who are following our journey, just a little sidebar, those who are following our journey and so curious about the behind the scenes pieces of like, wow, I love these 3 ladies. And I'm so curious of like what they're doing and how they're growing and how it's all coming together. I just want to continue to say that like, we are leaning into the iteration process with our work as well, and really feeling into where everything is landing. And the coolest things that are happening for us is a lot of the concepts and ideologies and downloads and spirit-driven information that was given to us from the beginning that brought us together, working together. We were like, wow, there's so much here. And we wanted to honor it all. And so we've written it all down and we've discussed it all and we brainstormed it all, but we didn't know where all these things were going to live and go and be and what they were going to mean. But one of the things from the beginning was, we are here to help women make money and make a difference. And that is something that we continue to come back to. And so I feel like the Tulum Sacred CO retreat was a full circle moment for us of spirit really validating that piece of like, women need this financial education and empowerment piece more than ever. And if we want to bring women into circle, and we feel like women in circles is, a key to changing the world, it also is a key to helping women get that financial education and empowerment so that they can step into being the sacred CO of their life. So for me, it was extremely moving. And I'd be curious for those who are listening in, have you been aware that worth and money is like a big thing in your life, like that you need to look at, that there's big work there? Or is this something that as we're talking about it, that is becoming more and more aware to you? Maybe somebody like me who I feel like, wow, I've been working on this. This is not a new issue. This is something I've worked my way, I don't want to say through, but I've been working on. But at this stage now, I feel like, oh, you know what? I'm feeling pretty strong in the worth section. I have other areas to work on, like safety or peace or things like that. And so I'm curious to see how people are feeling like, no, worth and money is top of the list for me, or actually I have something else that I really should want to be working right now. So that's my reflection. It's really exciting because if you think about it, if we can help all of us together, not just the 3 of us, our whole community, our whole collective of women on the planet that want to make a difference and use their gifts to help humanity. If we can all as a collective, begin to gather women into circle and help women strengthen their own self-worth in terms of being divine beings on the planet. And then in addition to that, figure out how to really step into that sacred CO role with their financial empowerment and education piece and start to be, boss ladies and have some money and invest and support and create their own things. Like, talk about the shift on the planet. Like, this is where the heart of the work is. So for me, I'm fired up. I'm excited. I'm like, viva la revolucion. Like, let's do it.
How about you, Elena?
Yeah, this is great. And just like Celia and Lindsay at the retreat, it was really super clear that worth is a thing that weaves through all of our lives. And for me, it's been an issue as well. And I was one of those women who, when I worked my wheel, also I'm like, wow, I could see that there's still some inner work to do around worth. And for me, what worth really means is, do we have to earn our worth, or are we just worthy because we exist? And I think that's the thing that we sort of get caught up in. And so worth for people is it's going to be a different journey in how you even relate to the word itself. So for me, it might be like having to convince myself to get the thing that I really want versus saving money, or, really starts to become this kind of inner conversation. Like, am I worthy to get the thing that I want? Or can I save this? Or what does that mean about them? And then I start having this whole inner conversation you might relate to, like, how do I give myself permission to want what I want, to give it to myself? Because we give to others. I mean, I know for myself, I love to give to others. But for myself, it becomes a thing of how did I make enough money to earn that? Do I have to make more money to earn that? Do I get to justify it? Do I have to give my stuff? Do I have to ask my husband permission, even though he doesn't really give it to me? But I somehow in my mind have learned that if someone says it's okay, then it's okay. But if I say it's okay, it's not really valid. So there's this whole thing. And the thing that really stood out to me is, regardless of where you are, how much money you're making, and we all work with women in very different financial situations, and it doesn't matter. There's always there's a thread of worth in that. So regardless of where you are in terms of, I feel like I can pay my bills, or I feel like I want to make more money, or I feel like I want to serve in a bigger way, that worth piece is something that we need to deal with. And besides the things that naturally come up around money, which we've talked about in other conversations, like having shame around money and all of our stories around money, it all ties in with that self-worth piece. So for me, it was like, this is where we need to do the work. This is where we need to remind women that when you are worthy and you give yourself permission to do, say, and be what you feel called to do, then you can actually make a difference in the world, regardless of what that mission is, whether it's to start a new business or create new traditions in your family, or live a life in a way that feels delicious and beautiful, and get yourself that beautiful, luxurious robe that you want, or, start that business and not really know how much you're going to charge. And there's actually a question there that really speaks to this. Allison asked, how do you know how much to charge? What are you worth? Like, how do you, and then where did that become connected? Charging what you're worth? Like, really think about that. Charging what you're worth. If we really charge what we were worth, would it be about what we think is worthy, or about our clients, or what the market is asking? Like, there's a whole conversation in there, which, Allison, we will definitely speak to in this conversation a little bit, but also in the months to come. This is what we are really excited about, is how to connect women with that self-worth, define it in your own way, and then really claim it. So what do you think? What do you think about this conversation? What resonates for you? What's standing out for you? Are you feeling this? Yeah, Allison writes, we are worthy because we exist. Yeah, that's a really great starting point.
So we are worthy. This is exactly what I was saying. And I just felt like there was one story for Tulum, Lindsay, that was being called forth, is the three of us, Lindsay, Elena, and I think it was just three of us, were in these super purifying, like amazing white water, or it's blue, but it was like gorgeous white clearing water. And we're in the ocean, and the three of us, it's after, I think, the circle where this worth piece had come up, and Lindsay's like, can you believe it? It's worth, like, after all that, we figured it out. It's about worth. Like, this is it. This is the work. And I'm like, and we're like, yeah, I know. And then I was like, just what you said, Allison, I was like, I just want every woman on the planet to realize that they are already worthy. Like, they are worthy just because they exist. Like, they are divine beings. Like, they are an extension of Spirit of God. Like, just because you were born, like, you already won the race. Like, you just arrived. You're on the planet. You don't have to do anything, be anything, have anything to be 100% worthy. Like, you are. And for me, I knew that innately, but until I became a spiritual person and started to really practice and believe and have faith in these kind of things, that was like a turning point for me in terms of, as we start to weave into starting to go in the direction of talking about the mindset piece, is when I really did believe with 100% that I am an extension of all that is, and that every piece of magic and beauty in the universe that I see and that I adore and that I worship also lives inside of me. And therefore I am, a magnificent, beautiful being just because I am. And nothing that happens in this human existence could ever strip that away from me. And so that like deep, deep, deep thing inside of me is the part that often you guys and many people will comment on, like, wow, you have this power, like you have this force. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm fucking worthy. Like, I believe it, And then Lindsay had like a good, pushback, which, you can speak for yourself. But as I remember it, Lindsay, you were like, that's good. But, like you had certain things in your life that really built you up to make you feel more worthy, to feel more confident. If you were somebody that had been through trauma or had been through neglect or who had been abandoned or, different things, there are life events that come in and strip you of that worthiness or make you doubt that worthiness. And so we had a really good conversation because of course I was aware of that, but I also wasn't looking at it through the lens. And so Lindsay was able to give me that good reflection of possibly this is why so many women are struggling with this piece, is because of what we've been through. And just, I'm hearing one other thing to say is also we're part of a social structure and in particular, a country that doesn't really value women. And so that's the sad truth that I think a lot of us are feeling that grieving piece for right now, or that anger, or that sort of FU, energy, is this intersection between the safety, on the women's wheel, the safety that goes with the peace, right? Because I really want the peace, but I realize I can't really feel peaceful until I have the safety piece going. And so that's a really interesting contradiction. And then there's this piece of the worth. And it's one thing to have financial worth. It's a different thing to have self-worth. And, when you don't feel safe in the world, and when you don't feel like you're a part of a world that values you and honors you and supports you and puts you on a pedestal and says you are worthy and your contributions matter, and we want you to have a place at the table and we want you to be making equal pay, then it's no doubt that so many of us are not feeling worthy or struggling to figure out, how do I negotiate, or how do I figure out my rates, or how can I ask for what I feel is right when, nobody in my life has ever done that, or nobody in my life has ever told me that I'm worthy of it. So just a lot of things dropping in as we can see, it's a meaty conversation.
Absolutely. Was there anything else you wanted to add on that piece, Selena, about?
Yeah. And I think it's funny because Allison just asked the question that really speaks to what I wanted to add, is that, and Celia mentioned it at the beginning, I want to really pull it out and put it on a little pedestal, because what she said was really important. Through her spiritual practice, she was able to cultivate this self-worth, even though she was someone who was already kind of, in a family, in a life situation where she has self-worth. Doesn't mean anything. Some of the most out there, like celebrities, amazing women doing wonderful things, still have this inner self-worth piece. Doesn't matter. It's connected to money. It's also disconnected from money in some way. So Allison was asking the question, how do we keep it constant in the forefront? And so pulling that together with what Celia said is we focus so much on these working your wheel, having a practice, doing the daily practices and rituals around connection to something bigger than yourself, to connection to other people, connection to your innate worthiness. I am worthy of getting up in the morning, of lighting a beautiful candle, of claiming 10 minutes, 15 minutes for myself, to hear myself, to connect in my heart, to tell myself that I am worthy of attention, I am guided, I'm supported, I'm not alone. I can get emotional thinking about the alone piece, because that was my work to do in the world as a spiritual person. Not even that I was alone in the world, like I have people around me, but we can feel so lonely and disconnected, even in a room full of people, if we're not connected to that thing inside ourselves that beats our heart, that connects us to spirit. So it's that practice, Allison, and everyone else who's listening, in the work that we do. That's why we call it work your wheel. It's not a one and done. It's not I meditated on January 1st last year. How come the year didn't, turn out the way I wanted it to? It's not about that. It's about, for me, it's like, I am worthy of leaving my family and going to dance as many times a week as I need to dance. I am worthy of saying, honey, I am feeling like I really need a bath tonight. I'm going to go do that. So it's in those small daily things that we start to build up our self-worth, and that starts to radiate outward. And so we've all had a journey. We've each had a journey. The three of us have had our own individual journeys to get to where we are. And guess what? We're not done yet. You know, it's a cycle, it's a season, it's a birthing, it's a dying, it's a birthing again. It's a realizing, okay, great. Well, I could see all these things that have happened so far, but here's the next level that I want to reach as a person, as a human being, as a woman with a mission that I'm worthy of spending time on. So that's, you know, I think this gets us all lit up because this is the work. This is the work that we need to do.
Yes. And so hopefully you're feeling it in your body, this thing of, okay, this topic of making money in the holidays is connected to my own ability to claim my worth as a human, my worth as a woman, my worth in my relationships and in my livelihood. Extending that to really understanding the bridge of how that then begins to activate your ability to make and receive money is kind of the next logical step, right? So you can hear us say it. You hopefully can also grant yourself permission that that's true. But then what do we do from there, Lindsay? You might be saying, like, how do I actually build the bridge between this conversation about worth and the practices that I may be trying to do or I'm inspired to do to grow my sense of self-worth, and how will that actually translate into money in my life? Well, that's part of what we're here to talk about today, because the truth is worthiness is up around the holidays with our family connections, with our multiple demands for our energy and time. Our sense of what is right and real and true for us gets a little bit challenged potentially at this time of the year. But as I said earlier, money is also literally up for people this time of year. It can be a potentially slow time of year. It can be a time when people, again, have paid, unpaid, or no vacation. It can be this strange juxtaposition of a time when ourselves, our bodies, are asking us to go inward, while the external demands are actually asking more of us. Maybe there are more bills this time of year. There are more potentially expenses. I know many, many people who still are not in a place yet where they're budgeting for holidays and birthdays in advance. So they can sometimes feel like, you know, December is the tight month or the constricted month financially, instead of the expansive, spacious, free time that they want it to be. So what we're here to do today is to bring all of these topics forward and to create the safe space for us to have this conversation where you can honor the energies that are real and true for you right now and not go dormant financially, where you can allow yourself to find the way that's authentic and aligned and true for you. So we're here to support you in thinking about this conversation about how you want to be making money this holiday season in ways that are simple and authentic and actionable and true for you, so that we can help you build that bridge between the conversation of your innate self-worth, which you have just for being, and how that translates into feeling more secure and more prosperous and more worthy in your financial world as well. So do you want to maybe transition into talking a little bit about how each of us is doing that in our own lives and business? Would that be a good next step, Celia?
Yeah, I think, why don't we start with Elena, and why don't we just share our own mindset journey, like what's going on right now with us, with our money mindset, what strategies, tips, and tools are we using? What are we teaching our clients to use? Some tangible, actionable items for the ladies. And then stick around with us, because the next conversation we're going to weave in here is, we believe that women should be gathering in circle now more than ever. And we want to talk about how you can use women's gatherings and women's circles to be another tool to generate revenue for yourself during the holidays and into the new year as well. So Elena, do you want to start with talking about how you're working your money mindset?
Yeah. So I want to share specifically 3 little areas for you to think about. One is the mindset of the holiday in general, and then things that you can do to help yourself process into it, meaning let's just not do something because we've always been doing it. Let's bring some awareness to it. And then a few tangible things that I do that I'm really, really excited about this year. And I'll share why I started doing that. It's really because of the person I married. If it was up to me, I'd be like, I'm going to give gifts to everyone and in this way. And I really I love gift giving in general. So that's one of my little thermometer points of like, how generous am I feeling to myself right now? So first of all, the mindset, in general of the holidays tends to assume stress. You can hear it in the conversations all around you. You can hear it at the store. Oh my God, the holidays and all. There's like this thing that happens. Oh goodness, the holidays, you have to do this and this and this. And I would say, let's not assume stress for the holidays and start with how we started this conversation, which is, first of all, gratitude. Wow, we have people that we want to honor this gratitude or be grateful for this holiday season. And that's a blessing to be able to connect with other people, whether it's one amazing person or you have a big family that you're going to connect with. How about we flip that around and say, instead of like being the burden, let's make it that blessing. We have a blessing of people in our lives that we are thinking about, caring about, want to honor in some way. And so what can I now do to step 2, which is what can I now do to release the stress a little bit, to reframe how I'm stepping into the holiday season in general, meaning how can I make it more, for me, it would be like playful, fun, filled with experiences and laughter. Like if I'm laughing a lot, I'm good to go. Like I want to just be around a table, playing Scrabble, sharing some good wine. Like for me, those are the most important things that I'm going to remember. So ask yourself first, what do I want to remember out of this holiday season? And by starting to ask yourself some of those core value questions, meaning what's most important to me? What do I want to remember most? And maybe even how do I want to feel? And if I want to feel connected to others, well, that has a lot less to do with the amount of money you spend than it does with the experiences that you're going to create. So the reason I started thinking about money and seasons in a different way was because I married someone who's like super focused on experiences. He could care less about stuff, truly like zero care, none. And so he's like, well, why don't we just spend $50 on everyone? I'm like, I can't even process that. What are you talking about? How do you do that? What do you mean? And so we had this conversation. I'm like, okay, well, let's get creative. What would it look like if we did spend less? And so the first year I made jam. Like it was so fun. And then we made soup containers. And so we started thinking about how do we create things for people that we love instead of just going to the store or going on Amazon, one click, right? And just sending it out. And then you're like, what did I send my niece or nephew anyway? I don't even remember. Or stuff arrives at your door and you're like, who ordered that? Did you order that? So I kept, I don't want to have that experience anymore. I do still mindfully buy things for some of the beautiful children in my life because I loved opening presents as well. But for the other people, I really think about how do I want them to feel? How do I want to connect with them? Can I send them something that will give them an experience that they can then enjoy? So for me, it's about asking a lot about experience. How do I want to feel? How do I want Lindsay and Celia to feel when I send them something pretty? Or is it about something yummy? Or is it just about a card? So I want to move into the tangible piece because this is where I think I've seen the most shift for myself. And whenever I say it to anyone in my life, they're like, oh my gosh, that would be really cool. And it's not my original idea. I actually heard it from Oprah. It was during an interview and they got to talking about gifts and how to give, and Oprah's obviously an amazing gift giver. And she has the amount of money that allows her to obviously give everyone a car if she wanted to, right? So she said, after all these years of giving gifts and receiving gifts, the thing that I crave the most and that I've seen make the most difference in someone's life is a gift of appreciation. And she's like, what if you took a list, you thought about someone, like I'm thinking about Lindsay and I'm putting out a card and I make a list of 10 things I appreciate about her. And I send it to her and she opens it and she's like, oh my God. I mean, couldn't you just like feel how empowering and how beautiful? And maybe I include a beautiful chocolate or maybe I include beautiful sugar fina gummy bears because we both love those. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. But that is something that she's going to remember forever because I've connected with her. I thought about her, not just going on Amazon and one click and boof, there you go. I'm like, oh, what did I get her? So the gifts of appreciation are so important. So that's the first part. And then the experiences. How do you want to feel during the holiday season and what gifts of experience do you want to give? And it could be as simple as a beautiful card, even handmade, with a gift of appreciation. That's a very simple thing that I'm planning to do a lot of this season. So if you know me, we're connected, you're probably going to get one of those. And to be honest, that sometimes can feel more vulnerable than giving some wrapped gift and sending it along, because you have to really think about the person and what they mean to you in your life. And if you can't think about things you appreciate about them, maybe you haven't connected as much as you want to. And maybe it's an intention to say, you know what, I want to connect more. Here's what I appreciate so far. And let's set an intention to have a tea, date once a month. And let's really do that. And that kind of connection is where you start feeling like you're worthy of having those connections in your life. So for me, it's all about less about the stuff. Although I love stuff, I do love stuff. I'll claim that and own it. And I will gift myself, sometimes more than my husband. He's like, why don't you just get yourself what you want? Because he doesn't even care or know. So I'm like, I'm getting myself this, and he's like, hey, I don't have to do it. So, and gift certificates are his thing. So he knows the spa I like to go to, boom, done, easy. But in terms of the people in your life, really think about how can you turn some of those things into experiences of deeper connection, and just see how that feels. And maybe you're starting with just a few people to do that with. Maybe it's along with a gift. Maybe you're not ready to let go of that budget that you were going to spend. But for a lot of us, it's like, I don't want to spend, $5,000 or $10,000 or build up my debt to give gifts. I mean, something a little wobbly there where you're like, I need to go into debt to give the people gifts that I love that I'm not even going to remember what they are. That's something that you really need to take a pause in, because your presence alone is worthy enough. Making a beautiful potluck dinner with people that you love, that's a beautiful gift to each other. So really start thinking about the experience and the appreciation as the things that you want to offer in gratitude, and see how it feels in terms of feeling more connected or less connected and worthy of the experience itself. So that's my gift to you. I appreciate you. And I'd love to know how that goes for you.
Yeah, and I think part of what we're talking about is about mindset, right? And so the mindset behind making more money, and also what you're pointing out is to really focus on that meaning over cost, right? Or the gifts that have meaning, or how actually simplifying and spending less really is a way to make money. And so while a lot of people are like, give us the answer, just tell us how to do it tomorrow, come on now, just tell me the 20-step plan and I'll do it. And the reality is like we always talk about is, there's only a certain things that we have control over. And the things that we have control over reside within us, right? So it's, our thoughts and our feelings and our actions. And once we focus on our thoughts and our feelings and our actions, we've done our part in the co-creative dance of oh, you like that one, huh? And so, the thing that is challenging, I think, for all of us to deal with is like, I need it happen already. Like, I just need to make that crap happen. Like, come on, where's the dollars? Make them come in, that kind of push. And don't get me wrong, I feel you. I've been there. There plenty of the time. But after going through this for many years and working with many clients, you see, you can try and push as much as you want. But at the end of the day, you are only responsible for yourself and the pieces that you can bring to the table. And so that's why we're talking about the mindset, because that's the piece that you are responsible for. That's the piece where you can make the shifts. That's the piece where you can heighten your awareness or deepen your connection to spirit, or tune more into your own needs and desires and wants, right? And that's how you make those what feel like small shifts, but really are exponential shifts, that the ripple effect are things that you're unaware of. You don't even understand how it all works. And that weaves into the magic section, which is Lindsay's favorite thing to talk about. So just wanting to shout out, while you may be feeling like, just give me the 5-step plan, we're really here to tell you, like, there isn't the 5-step plan. There isn't the 14-step plan. There's all kinds of different things that you can be doing right now to shift your mindset, to get yourself more aligned with not only the money that you want to call in or make or experience, but the life that you desire to have for yourself. And that's why what we talk about is the Simply Sacred life, and it's looking at yourself and your sisterhood and your community and circle circles, you know, gathering in circle and starting circles, and then you as a CEO, because we believe there's so many dimensions to who you are and that there's not just one size fits all. And so we're really about giving you a bunch of different tools, and I'll share some of the stuff that I'm working on right now so that you can pick and choose. So you can say, oh, I really love that one story Lindsay said, and I had this aha moment, and boom, that helped me. I'm going to take that one piece and walk away with that today. Or maybe something I'm about to say will resonate with you. So with that being said, I can say that while I love all of the mindset stuff, I believe some of the mindset stuff for me is also about what are the tangible actions that I can be taking to do what I just said, align myself to the life that I desire, align myself to the money that I want to call forth. And so, you know, like, for example, I've been, you know, sitting at my altar and really looking at my altar and thinking about the intention behind the sacred space that I created for myself, and really looking at the pieces and cleaning it and putting new pieces with intentionality behind it, and finding things that represent money and abundance and prosperity, and placing those with intentionality and blessing them, and you know, calling out a wish or an intention for what I'm doing. And then each day sitting down with those pieces on my specific money altar, and again, calling that forth and sort of trying to engage and co-create with the spiritual powers that be that are here for my benefit, that are looking for me to show up and say that I'm here, I'm ready, I'm willing, like, you know, let me get clear on what my vision looks like. And so another piece on this mindset is what I tell my girls all the time, my daughters, which is having a mindset of I can and am making money all the time, and that opportunities for wealth and prosperity are all around me. And you know, I sort of look at that as like a entrepreneur mindset. And so I know not everybody listening in is an entrepreneur, but I think that there's a lot to be learned from the entrepreneur mindset, which is really about breaking out of the status quo. The status quo says, you know, you're supposed to work a 9 to 5, and you go to that job and you sign a contract for a certain amount of dollars, and it comes in every 2 weeks, and you go, you work your hours, you go home, and you have this fixed amount of money. And so I'm always a big advocate of the side hustle. And I believe even if you're a full-time entrepreneur, that you can have multiple side hustles, right? And what that means is just different ways to pick up a little bit of extra cash. So right now with the mindset, I would start shifting your mindset more towards that hungry entrepreneur that's creative, that's optimistic, that believes that there's money behind every corner, and that you're out there looking for the opportunities. I am a assistant basketball coach with my husband, who's the main basketball coach for my daughter's school. And we did a bake sale the other day. And man, if you ever want to experience what it feels like to make a lot of money and make it quick, try running a bake sale. Because I had to get my values and integrity with what we were doing, because there was a lot of junk food, lots of, you know, cookies and donuts and all that stuff. But man, those kids lined up, threw their dollars out, and in 30 minutes we made $250. And I just had that remembering of when I was young and at school, there were always the kids that were like the young entrepreneurs that had figured out something that people needed. And generally at school, it was like candy or juice boxes or, you know, playing cards or whatever, but they had their finger on the pulse of a need and a demand, and they found a way to fill that need and demand, and they were making that extra, you know, $20 a week or $50 a week. And so if you could just put that mindset on right now of, you know, what could be that next little side hustle I can come up with? What could be that creative endeavor that I could create right now? Like taking something that's a hobby, maybe for you, like creating art or making bracelets or doing photography or making plants or whatever, right? And figuring out how can I put that together with something that somebody would want, especially around the holidays, and start to sell it and make that extra few $100s at a time. So that's just something quick. The other thing is really starting, if you are an entrepreneur and you have a business, is thinking, so I just have to say a sidebar, and I've expressed this before, and this goes into Allison's question about what to charge for things. So I constantly, I have to admit it, I am the person that has the whole ebb and flow from one side to the other on my pricing, in my mind, my pricing conversations. How much should I charge? And what's the right amount to charge? And so, and what is it that people need? And so like right now in the holidays, there's a part of me that's like, what do people need? Maybe they want to buy something right now. And then there's another side of me that's like, it's the holidays and people are buying a lot of crap. And like, do you really need to be pushing another product that maybe people don't need, you know? And so really having those conversations, I just want to presence them, because if you're feeling it, I want you to know you're not alone. And I also in my work have the conversation around what Allison was asking about, the worth piece of, well, what is my worth? And so that is challenging for me, because I know that a lot of coaches tell us that, like, well, ask for what you're worth. I feel like that's sort of a misconception, because you can't ever really ask for what you're worth, because like you're worthy beyond measure. Like there's no dollar sign that equals your worth. And so for me, when I think of my work, as far as I'm concerned, I'm the leader in doing what I do. So if you want to look at the person, I could look at somebody who's charging 20 times what I charge for the work that I do. And then there's people who charge a fraction of what I charge for the work that I do. What I really try to do is do the spiritual practices again of feeling into, you know, trying to essentially find a nexus between the people who need this product or service and who are they, and what is their situation, and how much money are they making, and where are they at this point in their life, and what is going to feel like a no-brainer price for them that feels easy, feels reasonable, but doesn't somehow feel like this is a joke, right? Like, why is this $20 when it should be $2,000? Like, you know, obviously you don't want to be on that spectrum. But on the flip side, me feeling into, okay, you put a lot of time, you put a lot of energy into this work, you know, comparatively that your work is at the top of the spectrum. So how do you honor that you have, you know, 10 years of experience, that this work is extremely valuable, and yet still create something that's for the masses or for the everyday person, right? So I don't have the answer for you. I'm not going to say that I figured it out, because honestly, I haven't. But that's my process. So in terms of tangible, actionable takeaways for you, I would say, you know, really go inside and think about who is it that you're hoping would be blessed with your work, and really tune into where are they at in their life? What can they afford? What is their daily situation like? And then also pay attention to what are other people charging in your industry. You obviously don't want to be on the low end of your industry. And, you know, I would question whether you want to be on the top end of your industry. I would probably say place yourself somewhere in the middle. Feel really great about that price. Feel like it represents you and you're proud of it. But when there's two different feelings that I've experienced when I price things that I know when they're not right. One is I price them too low. And when I say it, I feel a sense of embarrassment of like, where people were like, what? Why is it that, where did that price come from? Or it's free? Why are you doing that for free? And the other feeling is it's too high. It's just too high. And not that it's not worth it, but it's too high for the people who need this product. And so inside, I know that sometimes. I know that feeling. And yet I'm having the conversation with myself of, well, you're worth it. And well, you're just as good as those high-end people. So price yourself there. Where the reality, and this is why we're getting back to the mindset conversation, is I have to coach myself in my mind and say, remember, what's important for you is finding a price that feels good to you and is going to feel good to them. And that's what I lead with. So hoping that by sharing this with you, that this somehow gives you some clarity or gives you a tangible piece that you can take away for yourself. I'd be curious to hear what comes up for you. And also that mindset of that entrepreneur mindset, that hustle mindset, that go get it. Look around. Like I'm in my office right now. I'm looking all around. I have like 50 books I could probably go sell right now. I have a bunch of framed art that's gorgeous that I may not be loving, but somebody else might love right now. You know, I have like 5 million crystals that are gorgeous, but I could probably sell some of them. I don't need to hold on to all of them. Like, why am I hoarding? You know, so just those kind of conversations. Hopping over to you.
We lost the last little bit there, Celia, but you're handing it over to me. So I'm going to pop in and share a little bit of what happens in my world around money in the holidays and my mindset around money. And I just kind of want to also build on what Elena said around one of the ways that we can really think about how we bring more money into our lives in the holidays is to think about what goes out, right? To be really conscious and to be really value-based around what goes out. And then to piggyback on what Celia's saying, to be really aligned about the opportunities around you to make more money, whether that's through your business, whether that's through creative means, I love the example of the bake sale. I think the thread that leads through all of those is that making money has everything to do with the value that you bring to the world, and that it has to do with our worth, as we said at the beginning of this call. And I want to share this story because it's coming up in my mind, but a friend of a friend who has a very successful yoga business, a spiritual business, but has been, on the forefront of teaching yoga in America for decades now. So even before it became, something you could stream on YouTube, and highly, highly abundant, not a person who fell victim to the trap of the myth that you cannot be both spiritual and mindful and also wildly abundant. And my business partner was sharing the story that he had the opportunity to walk with him on a beach in Maui and ask him, how is it that you came to be so prosperous and so abundant? And I have so many friends who are great spiritual teachers and phenomenal yoga instructors and who are really struggling to pay their bills or keep their studios lights on. How is it that you achieved such success? And his story back was that he really credited his uncle for teaching him at a very young age that anybody can make money, that the amount of money you make is not correlated to your worthiness as a human being, but that you have the power and you are empowered to make it the way you want to. And this particular uncle took this guy out, and they took a car, and the uncle said, what we're going to do over this old beat up car, we're going to do over the next 2 days is we're going to love this car up together. And so the two of them detailed it, and they cleaned it, and they rotated the tires, and they changed the oil, and they spruced it up, and they made some minor changes. And two days later, at the end of that weekend, they went and they sold that car, and they made $600. And the uncle said, here, this $600 is your $600. This was from your energy, your intention, the value that you put into it, the effort, and the believing that it was possible. And he said, that was really it. He said, in that moment, I realized that with innovation, with intention, with a little bit of my own time and energy, bringing value forward, it really doesn't matter if it's a bake sale, a crystal, an e-product, going in and talking to your boss, that these are the ingredients that go into bringing money into our life, right? Because money is a form of energy. Money is a way that the universe shows us what we're putting out in the world, what value we're putting out. And value is different than worth, okay? Worth is innate. Value is something that you bring to the table and you bring forward to augment that. So for me, my story of where I am in my life, livelihood, and business around the holidays really started several years ago, because I was the person who left the corporate world, who made the grand leap. But although I had my spreadsheets, because I'm a spreadsheet girl, the numbers never worked really on paper when I was leaving the corporate world. I was like, we can simplify. We're moving to the country. We're going to raise goats and chickens. We're going to need less money. That's all going to be great. But it still never worked quite right on paper. Then we had the added challenge that we had an unexpected health challenge that affected not only myself, but my 3 children. So we ended up not only with less income into our house for the first time, but also with much greater expenses that we hadn't anticipated. We actually ended up in debt. First time we had carried debt in that way. And it was terrifying and traumatizing. And so for me, as I began to come out of that health crisis and build a business and start to bring value forward, both on the health front, but then also helping other world changers and change makers start to grow their livelihood, one of the things that was really present for me was that the entrepreneurial model for making money never really felt good in my body. That there's a big part of me that just likes knowing what I'm going to make, knowing what my paycheck is going to be, and knowing that farther out. So when I would see friends or colleagues or clients who were like, it's December and my cash flow is really low, that was anxiety producing for me on behalf of them, but also for myself. And so a huge leap happened for me a couple of years ago when I owned that. And I said, how can it be a yes and? How can I have a paycheck? How can I have more security? How can I know? How can I plan ahead? And also not work for a company, not be generating a paycheck from a job, but because I wanted to make it through my business and I wanted to be able to pay other people at the holidays through. And so what happened for me is I started to sell my year's programs and products in December, the year before I would be delivering those. So I'm actually the person who is technically making the taproot of their business's money right now in December for my entire next year. And so mindset is a really important component of that, right? Because if I went into that then saying, holy moly, I'm in the busiest time of the year with the most demands on my time, and this is it, and everything's dependent on it, and it's only going to happen if I do these things, then I wouldn't really have achieved my goal, which is to create more grace and ease and expansiveness in my money making, right? I would be holding that basket, as I call it, the container, from a place that is still stressed out, still really feeling overwhelmed. So for me, the mindset piece is living this journey by design, that I designed it this way, you guys, that I have, Lena often jokingly and lovingly teases me that I have this no launch because in November and December, I'm reaching out to the people who have really risen up to the top of my ecosystem over the year, that I've enjoyed being in connection with, that seem like they've enjoyed being in connection with me, where I know I can add value, where my particular offerings in the world would serve them and they would be a great contribution to mine. And then I reach out to them and I invite them to entertain the possibility of working with me in the next year, that I have a certain number of spots, that I fill my program in this way, that I see their value in this way, and this is how I see myself bringing value forward. So it's all about building on true connections, about honest resonance, and about honoring my desire to know what's coming over the next year. And so this time of year, I'm actually sending out invitations and receiving yeses and nos and maybes back for who will journey with me in the next year. And what that means is that by the time I'm walking out of my office before the solstice holiday that my family celebrates together, I know what my next year is going to look like, that I have a sense of when I'll be working with people, when their one-on-ones are, what their payment plans will be. I have the unbelievable luxury that I'm so grateful for of working with people so that money isn't the limiting factor, that we can create payment plans, we can extend, we can contract. But I have been able to grow this six-figure business from a place where December is actually my busy month, I guess you could say, or my money-making month, but it's for the next year. It's not for wrapping the bundle on this year. So that's one big piece of my world in terms of honoring the energetics, honoring the intention, honoring the desire, and then building a life by design that follows suit with that. The other thing I want to say is that while I'm doing that, that's my job as CEO, that's my job for what's coming for the next year. My team, and these are some suggestions I want to make for all of you as well, if you're in the model where what I'm describing might be appealing to you, but you're not quite there yet. Meanwhile, while I'm building on what's coming, my team is wrapping the bundle and doing the retrospective on this last year. We're looking at what hasn't been claimed yet. Are there things that we never build? Are there things that we want to wrap the bundle on? And so we're looking at our landscape kind of just the way Celia looked at her landscape and said, look, there's so many great models of money making, from children and fundraisers and circles and connections and bake sales or whatever it might be. We're doing that same thing in our business and saying, did we tell people about the Unlocking Miracles bundle? Did we send out those final invoices? Did we do what we wanted to do in this year? And so they're actually bringing in revenue while I'm laying the foundation for revenue for the year to come, which has been a really nice synergy in my world. But it does all boil down to a mindset, which is I'm worthy of having the desires that I desire. I'm worthy of the vision that I have for how I want to walk in this world and how I want to make money. I am empowered to take those steps. And, I always say in the Mystic, you hold the wand to design it in the way that feels right for you. A little bark. And so I just want to encourage you to hold your basket from that way, hold your container, hold your wand, and to look at your ecosystem for both the ways you can wrap the bundle of this year in a good way, bringing in the revenue that feels right to you, and also lay the foundation for what's coming.
That's so good, Lindsay. And I want to weave on that thread about the no launch or different approaches Elena and I are taking to our launch of our individual upcoming programs, the Superfly program and the Divine Self-Care Circle, which are it's not shameless. It's whatever. It's exciting. We are both opening up our programs in the fall or in the winter. So we are also leading into our launching of them and doing pre-launch for them. And so I want to talk about that. But I did want to say, as we're wrapping the bundle on the money mindset piece, we hope that this is empowering and inspiring you and giving you the tools that you need. We are also going to begin to talk about women's circles and how to use those to make money during the holidays and into 2018, and how we're weaving that into our launches as well, or Elena and I are, and I know Lindsay has her own approach to it as well. But just wanted to say, if you want more support on the money mindset specifically, that's what we designed the money mindset course for. I know many of the women watching have purchased and are already in that program and have given us amazing testimonials of how valuable it's been to them. But if you haven't picked this up yet, I would say check it out. It's the Money Mindset course. It's on a holiday sale right now. It's half off, so it'll be $97, and we have a 2 and a 3 pay option. Elena will drop into the thread what all it includes. If you have questions about it, if you want to follow up with us about it, we are available to see if it's a fit for you. And if it's a no-brainer and you're just like, I need more support, I want more tools, we have 3 different training videos, one on mindset rituals, another on how to be a money manager, another on manifesting money. We also have different worksheets in there that will guide you through the wallet cleanse, how to make your money manager manifesto template, how to work your money magic triangle. We have the affirmations, all the different money affirmations in there, as well as a customized making money manifestation meditation. So that is our exciting bundle for you. If you want to get your money mindset right and you want to focus on that, that's available for you. And Elena will share more of that coming into the thread. And the bundle is awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. And so we are going to talk about charging for women's circles. That is coming, Chandra. Just wanted to say, leading off of the piece on Lindsay saying one of her big strategies was to essentially start opening up enrollment to her programs and making invitations and matches with the right people for her programs in the fall of the year before she begins her programs. I think both Elena and I similarly have begun to do that with, we do a lot of amazing free content for our audience and sort of always have, or at least I can speak for myself, some sort of PS, sign up for the wait list of the Superfly program that's opening soon, or the wait list will get early enrollment, or the wait list will get pre-sale. And so we're sort of coming from a perspective of every woman that I ever coach, and they do lots of launching, and they start from sometimes having their first program to now having it be, 2, 3, 4, 5 times they've done it. I always hear the same thing, which is I needed more time. Like, what was I thinking that sometimes when I hear my ladies tell me their timetable and I have to give them the reality check of like, you're really trying to launch in 2 weeks. Like, have you done this and have you done that? And so if you're and this is sort of speaking to the entrepreneur ladies that are listening in, but if you're considering opening up the cart for something, or it's a new product or a new program, you could, for next year, start thinking about, let me start hinting to that in October, in November, and then maybe somewhere around November, December, opening up the cart for an early pre-sale or some sort of holiday sale or something like that. So similarly to what Lindsay's saying, you're generating that extra cash flow leading into the holidays, where you're actually feeling extremely abundant and cash abundant instead of cash poor right around the holidays. And so similarly to that, one of my strategies for opening my programs is to offer women's circles. And what I know to be true for me is, whether it's, I know Elena does a lot of virtual circles, and I tend to do sort of a meetup in person women's night out circle, and the three of us together have different variations of circles that we love and that we've done together and separately. And so we are big advocates of, if you have not yet found a circle, a women's circle for yourself, or started your own women's circle, that we really want you to get going with that. It is the bridge between the mindset piece and the money generation, and really that connection and resonance that we're all seeking. And so whether just right now in terms of your own mindset, that you could use a circle of your own, like to just go to one, look around for them, because they exist everywhere. We have sisters in our own community, in the Simply Sacred community, that are having all kinds of amazing free and low cost virtual and in-person circles coming up leading into the year and into January as well. Lots of vision board circles and things like that going on, holiday mixers, happy hours going on. So if you are just looking for a community and want somewhere to go and get more support and be with like-minded people, seek that out. If you are like, I want to do this myself and I want to host a circle, and how do I do it, and I need to get on it, as I already mentioned, you could think about doing something virtually, and certainly Elena can talk a little bit more about the virtual side of things. I can say for myself, knowing that my big year-long program is opening up in February, I have different touch points in December and in January in different local communities where I show up as I talk about becoming a celebrity in your own backyard. And I really believe that we cannot, as much as we have embraced being online and love the technology, we cannot abandon our local presence in our local community, because at the end of the day, if Facebook disappears or nobody's ever opening up another email, then what? We have to really create deep roots in our community where people know who we are. And so while I may be asking them 3 months from now to invest in $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 program or opportunity with me, right now what I really need is to gather as many amazing, like-minded, soulful, spiritual, heart-centered women together to just even experience who I am and my own power and greatness, right? And so creating a women's circle for me has always been the number one tool that I use in my business and that I teach all of my clients to do. Whenever they're talking about, I'm going to launch this and I'm going to do online this and da 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 da, and I'm just like, that's awesome. Yes, let's do that. But what's up with your local circle? Like, have you started your local women's circle? And if you're looking right now, so I just want to say one more thread on that, and I'll hand off to Elena to take it from here. But Chandra was asking about charging for them. So I just want to say, for me, what I did from the beginning, I started doing women's circles regularly about 6 years ago, and I created a name for my women's circle, which is called Women's Night Out. And at the time that I created it, I tested the area. So I started with 3 a month, which I know sounds a little wicked crazy, but I was testing 3 different territories, and I'm in Los Angeles, so it's really big. So I didn't know where people were going to prefer to go. So once a few months I did 3 a month, then I went down to 2 a month with the top 2. And then I narrowed it down to the 1 a month, which is now Marina Del Rey, which is everybody's favorite location. That was the one where people came to the most. Then with pricing, again, everybody, you can do this differently, but how I teach it generally is to price at a relatively nominal fee. So that, because to me, the way I look at this is almost like your community service product. This is the thing that is your blanket umbrella product that every single person you meet, whether they're your ideal client or not, that's like, you're awesome, I want to know more about you, or I need a coach, I need to be in your energy, you're amazing, how can I have more to do with you, that you don't have to say, well, sign up for my $5,000 coaching program or whatever. You can say, no problem, I have this awesome event. It's, I have a women's circle. We meet once a month, once a quarter, whatever it is. And you can tell them when the next one's coming, and you price it at a price that feels like a no-brainer. So when I was first starting, my pricing was $20. And my thought process behind that was, pretty much anybody, if they really, really wanted to get to something, could find another $20 bill, hit up your mama, your grandma, your sister friend, whoever, like, get me to this workshop. I have to be there. So I priced it $20, and sometimes I go, now I'm more like in the $35 to $50 range for my low end events, for my low end women's circles. But all of that is to say, I look at the women's circles initially as a tool. It's essentially paid advertisement, paid marketing. It's a way for you to build a community, build connections, get in front of people, test your work, show them what you do, let them bask in your glory. You also collect everybody's email list. And the goal to me is at least to break even. And if you've broken even, you basically had them help you pay to market to a warm audience, and it's marketing done your way, right? On your terms. It's not done in the model that's a one size fits all. It's you being able to show up and speak about what you want to talk about in an environment where you want to be, talking to the people that you want to talk to, done on your own terms. And so that's why women's circles can be so powerful, because it's an opportunity for you to say, I'm going to, stand in the face of the stereotypical or status quo marketing strategies. And I'm going to say, I'm going to do marketing on my own terms, in my own way, in my own backyard. I'm going to become a celebrity in my own local community, where people start to know me and like me and trust me, right? And that is real, because I have people who sign up for Superfly program or Coaching Academy with me 3 years later. And they'll say, I don't know if you remember me, but I went to one of your women's nights out like 4 years ago, and wherever it was. And, I've always followed you ever since, but I haven't been ready to make the investment. And so that's a little bit of like the long-term strategy of how to make money from doing women's circles. But the absolute, low-hanging fruit is, once you do your women's circle, then you say, hey, I'm also a coach. I work one-on-one with people, or I work with groups. I have one starting next week, or I have 3 spots open for consults next week to talk to me about new ways that we can work together. Here's a sign-up sheet. Sign up, hop on a consult with me, and I'll see where you're at, and we can talk about what would be a good fit for you. And so if you're wanting to make money like tomorrow, I'd say find the lowest cost place you could possibly run a women's circle. Gather that, make it happen, tell people about it, get the word out, have people come, make it low cost, make it easy for them to come, and then provide tremendous value, change people's lives, and then make a offering. Tell them there's a way to work with you, and have them sign up and go from there. And to me, it's an absolute no-fail way to get new clients. And especially if you're building your business from scratch, this is a great way to begin. And if you're somebody who's like, I'm not a coach, or I'm not an entrepreneur, you could still have a women's circle. There's so many things that you could do through a women's circle that you can help people with, whether that's, resume writing, or, style, how to, get your style for the new you for the new year, or a vision party or vision board party, right? So again, this gets back to what I was saying earlier about the entrepreneur mindset, and that sort of money's all around, opportunities all around. It's like getting creative, thinking outside of the box. Like, I'm looking around here in my office. I don't know. Okay, I see, I got an old briefcase that somebody is going to love. I'm not. Maybe we do a circle where it's a clothing swap, right? Style swap, right? And that's what I'm saying about training your mindset to be a money maker, to be a creative, conscious creator, and to step into that CEO role in your life, and not just have it like happen to you, but you actually make the life on your own terms. And that's what we're talking about when we're saying we want you to be a sacred CEO. So that's sort of the overview of women's circles and how to make money through women's circles. But I'd love to hear also from Elena and Lindsay, what do you think on this? And I will I'll also tell you that we do have the Women's Circle Starter Kit. I know, again, some of you guys have gotten that, and it's amazing. That is our signature product that we just created that is really the step-by-step guide. It's a PDF with all of the steps that you take to how to come up with the conception of your idea of the Women's Circle, how to market it, how to promote it, what to do in terms of your timeline and your time frame, and all of the checklists that are involved in it. And then the day of, giving you structure of what do you actually do when you get together for that Women's Circle. So if that's something that you're interested in, we will drop that link in later as well. And again, that includes 3 different types of circles you can host: a step-by-step marketing and promotional calendar, your detailed timeline and action steps, a sample circle outline that you can use again and again, and it's ready to go, like instant access. So if you're inspired by starting a circle and you're like, that sounds amazing, I want to do that, well, we got it ready for you. So let's hear from Elena. Can you tell us how, oh, I just muted you again. Can you tell us how circles are showing up for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I love everything that Celia just shared. And the really amazing thing is, as I think about the overview of what you're going to get if you choose to try to start a circle, is that the 3 of us do it very differently. And so Celia is all about being a celebrity in your backyard, hosting live women's circles. And while I have those personally for friends that we do moon circles and vision boarding and things like that, I choose to do virtual circles, virtual retreats. I've been doing it now for about 3 years. And for me, it's all about leveraging my time. So if you're thinking like, oh my gosh, I am someone who, like, just even planning an event makes me feel like I want to run screaming, I would say think about virtual circles, because like we bless this technology, you know, like Celia said, we have the technology to gather. The women that I gather in my virtual circles are all over the world, from Australia to New York to California to everywhere in between. Literally, like I can see the map of where everyone is, and it just blows my mind because I am able to have connections and clients in different places because of what we're doing right now, this Zoom technology, video conferencing, and being able to connect. And I do my dream calendar workshops. I've done vision boarding workshops. We do virtual retreats, self-care retreats. So, and like Celia said, which is what I teach in my virtual retreat academy, is you don't have to be a coach. You can be someone who teaches how to organize your closet, how to be a good parent, how to parent through the holidays, how to cook a gingerbread house, like really whatever skill set you have, get creative, because someone out there doesn't know how to do what comes very naturally for you. And without, you know, having to plan like a whole thing that's in person, because it does take logistics and it just takes time. And if you're someone who's like, maybe you have small kids at home, maybe you don't want to travel, maybe you're just someone who wants to try this whole technology thing, virtual circles is something we address in the Circle Starter Kit. So a circle can be virtual and it's still so powerful, connecting with women like this, having conversations, you can teach, you can share. So the fact that we each 3 do them very differently, we all host our own communities and we do circling in different ways. Don't feel like you're limited if you happen to live way out there. Like I live in the woods, you know, I don't live in a big city right now. And so for me, it's like, I know exactly where I'd host it. There's not that many places, you know, it's more of a small town feel, but I choose to leverage my time by doing virtual circles. And so think about it. If that's piquing your interest and curiosity, we totally address that in the Circle Starter Kit. And I would say it sort of opens up the boundaries of time, location, there's no overhead. You can teach, you can create tangible takeaways. I have women who are teaching everything from journaling to yoga, to movement, to meditation, to how to create a video sales script if you're someone who creates videos for your work. Like I haven't met one person yet where I'm like, I don't think that'll work. Like unless you're doing physical massage, you can actually still teach elements of that virtually. So open your mind, think about what you love to do. And if virtual circle is something you're like, oh my gosh, I can do that. And guess what? You can post it tomorrow with some great takeaways. This is what we're going to do. How long is it going to be? What date is it? Put a price tag on it and test it. If you have 10 people who pay you $50 to come to a virtual circle, guess what? You just made $500 doing not all that much legwork besides planning. So that's what we want to help you do. Really start thinking about it. And if you do that once a month for the next couple months, I know I'd love an extra $500 a month for hosting one thing that I'm really passionate about teaching. why not? And that's even if you have a 9 to 5, or if you have kids. Like sometimes when my son was little, he'd be in the background. So I'm like, here I am, I'm a mom, here's my son, that's what it is. And that's how you do it. You just let those limiting beliefs fall away and wonder what's possible if you just decided to start a women's circle, and where would it be, and what would I teach, and how much would I charge? We can help you do that. So yeah, I'm excited about circles, obviously. So Lindsay, what about you? Talk about circles.
I love this. There's so many different ways to do it. And we're being called now more than ever to get back to our roots and to get ourselves into circle. So being activated to different ways to not only join, seek, find, and be a part of, but also to create and to monetize is so key. It seems like every time I start talking, Dixie decides she wants to talk too. So I'll just talk over the dog. So what I want to say is that in the spiritual world, it is a little bit different when you have the conversation about monetizing circles. There's a lot of different schools of thought of whether it is even okay to charge for spiritual circles. Is it okay to charge for ceremony? Is it okay to put a hat out? Is it okay to charge up front, or is it only okay to have donations? Like lots and lots of different, sometimes very strong opinions about how and why and whether to monetize circles when you're coming at it from a spiritual standpoint and when there's ceremony involved. I will say that for myself, I'm a little bit of a hybrid of what Elena and Celia both described. I'm not the person who's out seeking to be a celebrity in my backyard. In fact, I'm seeking more to have deep, intimate, community-based connections when I circle at home. But what's interesting is my entire business, this entire monetized business that I run on the mystic side of things, is an extension of the circles that I'm a part of and that I invite women into in my community and at home. So gathering with women in the teepee, honoring the moon cycles, having our solstice gatherings, honoring the rites of passage and stages and phases of our young ones and our elders and our mamas and our birthing mamas. All of those became the deep taproot to the rhythms and the way that I want to walk in the world, and the way that I have then brought that out to an outer ring, so to speak, and to monetize that has been through my business. So I might not be saying here, you can pay $20 and come to a ceremony in the teepee at Hawksperch. That isn't the way it works for me. But what I can do is sit in that teepee and be a part of those deep connective ceremonies, receive the messages, and then find the ways in which those want to ripple out into the other places where I show up in the world. So whether that's the message from the ethers and the Mystic Society, or whether that's showing up here with my Simply Sacred sisters and talking about money and mindset, I wouldn't want anyone to think that somehow that means those circles aren't monetized. It simply means that I'm not asking one to have a line item next to it. I'm seeing how they are all part of a broader wheel, part of a broader basket, and I'm in trust that by showing up in circle, by finding ways into women's circle, that the worth spoke and the money spoke of my wheel are being supported and are thriving and are expanding and are achieving new levels of alignment at all times. So that's a little bit of how circles and money intersect for me.
Awesome. Well, so far, are we all unmuted? I just want to let us, well, you can mute if you want, Lindsay, but we're going to start pulling the call together, the open house together, and I'm going to do a little final word here, and just looking at the thread and the chat and just saying, if there's any other questions you guys have, if there's anything coming up for you, please be active on this video thread. We will be sending this out also as a follow-up recording that you can watch and keep as a resource for you in the future. What we've covered so far is a lot. If you can tell, we're not just superficial. Like, we really like to dive in and just let it all come out. And so we hope that you've been super enriched by the conversation. I think that really putting the pieces together, we talked about Lindsay, I'll let you do that piece if you want. Do you want to jump in on that? No? Okay. I think that we talked about your worth, right? So we started from a place of, this is a conversation about how to make more money during the holidays. But the root of all of this is really about that you are worthy because you were born, that you are a divine being on this planet, that your worthiness is innate just because, and that if there's anything that you take away, that would be the thing we want you to take away, is that we realize that we're not all feeling worthy. We're not all feeling like, our money is aligning with our self-worth, or that our self-worth is not where we want it to be, or our money's not where we want it to be. So clearly there's a lot of work for all of us to be doing there. But if we can all keep sort of channeling that message of, no matter what my bank account shows, that is not me. That is an external circumstance that does not have a reflection on my own innate worthiness. And really, we would love to hear from you, whether it's through live videos or emails or comments over the holidays, of how, this message is rippling for you. How is it coming up for you in different contexts where you're like, wow, okay, I just had a light bulb moment of that thing that I heard Lindsay say 2 weeks ago, because we know that there is a lot of medicine embedded in and through us in what we're sharing with you. And so we really hope that this will soothe your soul and your heart, and just let you know that we are here, that we are with you, that you are not alone in this journey, that we are on the trail with you as well, navigating it for ourselves and for our own partnership, and for the women in all of our various communities and the people in general on the planet. And so let's pray that all of the people on the planet get this message and really can tap into their divine worthiness and their divine power and their divine purpose for this lifetime and beyond. And then just taking the pieces of the practical tools and shifts that you can make right now with your mindset today, in this moment, on this call, and thereafter, whether that is, working your affirmations, or clearing off your altar, or deciding to go simple with your holiday prep and planning and shopping, whether that is, getting really clear on what it is that you want and all the different ways that you can be creating right now and thinking outside of the box, or doing, advanced planning for 2018 and making some maybe changes to your business model or your career path now that will impact you for the year to come. And then taking that piece of the women's circles, and just, we hope that you're taking that to heart, and that resonates, and that you're fired up about that. And as we said, whether that is just gathering with your own sister friends and family over the holidays, even if it's not a technical women's circle, but it is a circle, really honoring the people that you love and pulling them tight and pulling them together, and saying gratitude for the blessing of being alive and having the privileges that we do. Or it is, getting out there and finding your circle, because you're realizing, gosh, I love this conversation about women's circles, but I don't really have my peeps. And whether that's virtually or in person, finding them. And then from that place, thinking about, how does this weave into the making money piece? Do I want to be running women's circles or professional circles, or any type of circles that can be gathering all types of cross-section of people together to provide value, right? And to provide something that people need, and in response, getting paid to gather people together, and that potentially positioning you to market on your own terms, market yourself on your own terms, in your own way, for the business that you're creating right now. Those are the pieces that we hope that you take away. We'd love to hear more and more about it. And Elena wants to pull through the thread of the simplicity piece, which is important as well. So you got it from here, sister.
Yeah, thank you. I love spending time with you guys and hearing what is alive for you, and how what we create works for you. And one of the things that we consciously created was the Simply Sacred company, which is, the first word is simply, and that keeps us coming back to our own North Star, which is, how can we make this simple? How can we make this so clear and easy and fun and playful that you're like, yeah, for sure, I want to do this. But also to really understand that how it ties in with the work piece is that so many times we feel like we have to do more be more, give more in order to feel worthy in our relationships and in our business and in our work. And truly, it comes back to what we've been saying throughout this whole time together, which is you are worthy because you exist. And how can we start to take some of those layers of expectations of ourselves off, that we can still sit at the table, offer a cup of tea and a listening and a conversation. And that itself has such beauty and such depth. In fact, I've been exploring different holiday cultures around the world. And one that really keeps coming back is something called Hygge, which I'm totally not pronouncing right, but it's Hytte. And it comes from kind of like the Netherlands region. And it's all about simplicity. And there's this really beautiful little tradition where people gather with the people in their local community on a regular basis over a cup of tea and a pastry. That's it. Like there's no more, there's no less. Countertops are clean. There's no clutter. There's like this real, if you look at Danish furniture, if you go even to IKEA, there's this like thread of this real simplicity. Like things are valuable. They're made well. They're clean lines. They're like elegant. And to me, that is what we're trying to bring through is like what Celia talks about all the time. What's timeless? What's classic? We are worthy because we exist. We are timeless. Our innate value is because we are here. We have something to offer, which is the essence of hosting a circle. You have something to offer. You have something to offer by sheer existence. If you bring women together and you ask a question, what are you most grateful for? I guarantee you're going to have a life-changing night, because most people aren't witnessed in that way. They aren't seen in that way. They aren't heard in that way, which brings in more elements of the wheel that we believe so strongly in are inalienable rights. I have to say that slowly or I totally mess it up. But we believe that you are worthy because you are here. You have something to offer. So if you have this little fire burning in your heart of like, I really want to do this, but I don't know what I would say. I don't know how I would be. Well, we got you covered. So we know you have something to say. We know you are worthy of being seen. We know you are worthy of gathering women around you, or women and men, whatever your, teenagers, girls, boys in your community, whatever your heart is calling you to, and sharing your heart, allowing yourself to be seen, realizing that your presence is your worth. That's what it is. So we want you to really hear what we're saying, to really receive it, and to know that you are worthy because you simply exist. So I would love to wrap this up by handing it over to Lindsay. If you're in a place where you can wrap the bundle and part our hearts and minds for the day.
Yeah, thank you. We just want to thank you so much for bringing your heart and your intention and your presence to this topic and joining us today. We want to thank you for following us on this thread of your worthiness and your mindset, and potentially moving in the direction of bringing your good work into the world in new ways via circles. I want to thank Celia and Elena as well. I love co-creating with you too. What a blessing to be getting to do this at the holidays together. And we'll separate ourselves now from this gratitude basket that we wove together, releasing ourselves so we can go forward and laugh our own laughs and dream our own dreams, and knowing we can tap back into this circle whenever and however we desire. I love you all so much. Thank you.
Love you all. Goodbye.
We'll